you talk about your merger with World Class Championship Wrestling?
Yeah, I had met Kerry through the wrestling business and really admired him. He was a great wrestler, looked like $1 million. And what was amazing to me is he had that motorcycle accident and he really just had about a half a foot and had a boot that filled in what was missing, and how Kerry could be the wrestler he was. You know, if that had been me, I'd have been hobbling around on crutches the rest of my life. He was just superhuman. And so I really liked him too. And so when he called me and he said, Jerry, we've pissed Dad off and he's not going to help us anymore. And we've run out of money and we're going to close up out here. I said, well, that's a shame. I hate to hear that. And he said, well, I'm just wondering if you'd want to come out and take a look. Before we get the lawyer and file for bankruptcy, why don't you come see if there's any kind of deal you want to do. So I said, well, let me think about it, and because I really didn't want to go. And when I hung up the phone, my wife, and I'll have to tell you this, my grandfather, even though he was an alcoholic, was so smart. And he told me one time, he said, Jerry, as you walk down the creek of life, he said, learn to turn over every rock you see in the creek. He said, now, be careful, because sometimes you'll have to turn over one that's got a watermarks on it, and you can get bit if you're not quick on your feet. But he said, if you turn them all over, you'll find a gold nugget under one. And so that had kind of been my mantra in life, you know, at least look at every opportunity. So when I hung up the phone from talking to Kerry, my wife Deborah said, you gonna go look? And I said, nah. She said, well, that might be that gold nugget. And so I said, oh, okay. That's the old do as I say and not as I do. So I went and I looked at it, and it was a real opportunity. They were so broke that what really wasn't a huge investment for a promotion. They owed Channel 10, the TV station, $50,000. They owed the Sportatorium guy $20,000, and miscellaneous bills, you know, garbage collection, city taxes, business taxes, a total of about $130,000. So I said, well, I don't want to risk all of it. So I called Tommy Watson at Red Man, Pinkerton Tobacco Company, and I said, Tommy, you're sponsoring my matches in Nashville, Memphis. How would you like to be able to advertise and give away samples in Dallas? And he said, how much is it going to cost me? And I said, $60,000. He said, the check's on the way. So now it's a doable deal because I'm 70 from me and 60 from Pinkerton. So we, Eric Emery, Chris Adams, Percy Pringle, they were all out there. Eric was so down on his luck, he was living at the Sportatorium. And none of them had cars because they'd stuck with the Von Erichs and no money, you know, they hadn't gotten paid. So, you know, I had a meeting with them and I said, all right, I'll take 51% and I'll give Kerry and Kevin 49%. And, but I'm boss. So I drew up, I got an attorney to draw up a little contract, and then Fritz called and said, I want to meet with you before you do this deal. So we went out to Fritz's house, and Fritz says, we're sitting in the kitchen, and Fritz's wife is at the sink, and I can't believe how Fritz is talking. He said, let me tell you something. He said, these two boys are both drug heads. They will not keep their word. They're not dependable. And I want you to know that you are doing business with them and not me. Further, I want you to know that my advice is that you get your butt on an airplane and go back to Tennessee. Because these two guys are hopeless. Now that's their daddy with their mother standing at the sink. So can you imagine the dysfunction in that family? I mean, it's pitiful. So I said, okay. And I told outside when I was getting in my car, I said, you boys, I'll meet you back at the Sportatorium in the morning at 9 o'clock. And they did, and I told them, I said, Fritz, in no uncertain terms, isn't a part of this. But if y'all will just be sober on Friday nights, that's all I ask. You don't have to do nothing else. Well, they were for about the first 6 weeks. Then you could tell they were snorted up. Then, before it was over, they were slobbering at the mouth, coked out of their brain. And, but I just didn't count on them. You know, we had other angles. Chris Adams did the student ex-wife angle, that helped. Eric Emery did the USWA versus WCCW, you know, tearing the banner down. And the fans supported us. We made a lot of money. Kevin and Kerry's would get 20 to 30,000 a piece every month. That's how good we were doing. And I don't know, a year and a half in, one night they show up with an attorney and the attorney said, you've taken advantage of these two boys and their ignorance about business. And it's not fair for you to have half and them only have 25%. So we want to redo the contract to where you get a third and each of them get a third. And I said, nope, not for me. I said, let me tell you something. I said, these boys would be lucky to get a bacon and egg sandwich from their father. They're not businessmen. They can't even stay straight long enough to perform once a week. He said, well, I don't see it that way. So I said, well, I went and got me an attorney, and my attorney said, well, Jerry, we can win this lawsuit and win it easy, but here's the way the law works. When you win the lawsuit, they will still be your 49% partner. I said, you know what, they can't be in business a year. I'm gonna go, because if I don't want them to be my partner anymore, ever. So I went back to Nashville, and they filed for bankruptcy 9 months later, went out of business. Now you know the Dallas story.